excuse me, I cough every video. I really don't know why. Anyway, Marc-Frédéric Le Charcutier Anglais. I think it's because I'm always resting my voice and only speak when I come to make a video, because I'm not in between, I'm not having conversations. That sounds lonely, doesn't it? But it's not. Anyway, forgive me for coughing each and every occasion. Let me get on with the video. You know, how do you make the difference between a duck and a drake? Now, different breeds of ducks have difference in camouflage, colouring. So very often the hens, listen to me, the ducks, the female ducks, have a lighter plumage, and the males will have a more brighter, more colourful plumage. So those are easily identifiable. Colour of the beaks can be different, for example. A duck could be relatively brown, and a drake could be a yellow or a green colour, all depending on the breed. Ducks can also be the same colour, so it's hard to identify, you know, what's a duck and what's a drake, and it's this type of duck as to why I thought, oh, I'll make a video and share this information. The other way to identify ducks and drakes, the difference is drakes tend to have a curl tail that comes back on themselves, and it's called a sex curl. And it's only the drakes that grow this feather, and the ducks, the female ducks, they don't grow it. So if you can imagine, this curl looks like a question mark when you look at it from the side, and this feather, that's it, grows backwards, you know, towards the you know, along the body of the, from the back end, it's facing back along the body, you know. So you always got this curl tail right at the back of the drake to identify. But if a duck and a drake are of the same breed, where they're both the same colour, how are you going to identify the duck and the drake if somebody has taken out that curl feather? You might ask, why on earth would they want to do that? Well, it used to happen a lot in the old days, all right, at the livestock auctions and poultry auctions and fairs. You go to the livestock auctions and you see masses of cages where they usually put in a brace or a trio of birds to sell, or, you know, just a small flock of birds. And some farmers, in order to get more money, okay, would sell all their ducks as female ducks, including some of the drakes where they've pulled the feather out and put these drakes in amongst the ducks, you see, because ducks were more valuable because they lay the eggs. The drake can't, of course. So you're feeding a drake money, whereas the ducks, you're feeding the ducks who are giving you a return in the eggs. God, I do apologise. But back in the old days, duck eggs were more valuable. Well, I think they still are now, than hen's eggs, more valuable. However, they're not used as much as they used to be in the last century. And they are absolutely the best egg for baking, confectionery. But today, people can't be bothered. You know, I don't know what it is, whether they're just too lazy, and they just don't bother buying duck eggs, you know, for baking, which is a real shame. And duck eggs, by the way, offer, if you don't know, dear me, I don't even smoke. So duck eggs, by the way, offer a bigger yolk than they do a white, whereas a hen's egg is more white than it is yolk. So anyway, there's lots of other good properties within duck eggs. Anyway, the value is in the duck eggs. So when you get to market and the birds are being auctioned off, the auctioneer obviously can get the price right up when they're all female ducks. So you get the odd farmer I'm being polite calling him a farmer, and who's taken these bloody sex curl feathers out of the drake and putting them in amongst the ducks, and in order that he can get a bit more money. And it's naughty, all right. It's not on. They shouldn't do it. They used to do it a lot, and but there's a sure, fast way to get round that. Maybe I should just keep this rattle. It might help with this video, because I'm just about to tell you something interesting. This cough thing is coincidental, by the way. So you used to find years ago in the livestock auctions, people who come in who were potential purchasers for the ducks. They would lift the cage door, and these would be like sliding ones, they'd lift it up and they'd get their hand in there and they grabbing hold of the neck of the duck, and they're listening to what the duck says. Now when you may not know this, but when you grab a duck gives a clear quack. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? After all, it's a duck. That's what ducks do, quack, quack. But no, a female duck has a distinctive, clear-cut quack. Okay? Go in and get the drake. You may not know it's a drake at this point. And drakes cannot quack. All right, are you surprised? Now, a drake sounds like, well, it sounded like me earlier with this bloody rattle in my throat from me coughing, but of course drakes don't cough, but they have a raspy rattle to their quack, and it's clear and distinctive, and it's like a cross between a quack, a hiss, and a rattle all at the same time. So I'll see if I can try and do it. Let's do a duck first. Quack, quack, and then the drake. Quack, quack. All right, that was an awful impression, but I think you get the difference. Duck is quack, quack, and the drake is quack, quack. Yeah, okay, you can see, or hopefully hear the difference. I'm not doing a good job of it, but that's what it is. So that's how to identify ducks and drakes when they are of the same plumage. You're very fortunate if you're getting ducks where they are clearly distinctive through colour, like a wild mallard, for example. You can always tell you've got the brown duck and then you've got the green colourful duck, with bits of blue and white and things like that. And then we've got a domestic duck called a silver appleyard. They're very easily identifiable between male and female. With those ducks, there's no problem. It's just those duck species where they are of the same plumage, and you can't tell very easily. So, but now you know how to do it. It looks cruel when you're putting your hand in a cage and grabbing a duck by it. So people who are not familiar with it, they're wondering what the hell's happening, But people are these potential buyers. That's why they're doing it. So if you've ever gone to a livestock auction and you see this going on, particularly with the old boys, that's what they're doing. They're checking they're not being conned. And if they're, and if they are, they can highlight it to the organisers of the mart if necessary. But that's why they do it, and that's the way for you to do it if you wanted to identify ducks. If you're breeding ducks and you're not familiar with the breeding, then you can also, when they reach a certain age, pick them up off the floor by the neck, which looks cruel, and it's not, if it's done briefly, and there you'll get the difference, that you can hear the quack or the rasp, okay, and then put the bird down, you'll know, you can identify it, or separate them if you wanted to separate them. So you could do that also. So anyway, I hope you found this useful. Quack or rasp. All right. Please buy me a coffee. Link is down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Toodaloo.